We all have those days. I know you're looking at me right now and you're like, dude, Styx looks fucking terrible. And I feel terrible. Partly because I have slept one day in the last 3 days, and partly because Tower of Fantasy completely locked my bank account. It is a Saturday afternoon. My bank is closed. I cannot drive there to have it physically unlocked. They will not allow me to unlock it over the phone. So I can't get groceries. I can't pay for anything. And it's all thanks to Tower Fantasy. Before we go any further, I just want to take a moment here to thank all of the absolute chads and chadettes that support this channel via Patreon. You're all freaking legends. Seriously, each and every single one of you. I would offer to give each of you a kiss, but I suffer from severe intimacy issues. Additionally, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest MMO gacha and gaming news, take a second here to follow Mrs. Styx and I over on Twitter. We tweet daily. Now let me elaborate a little more on what exactly is happening. So when Tower of Fantasy first launched, Mrs. Styx and I, we started streaming it. We thought to ourselves, you know what, let's go ahead here and spend a little bit on some premium currency so we could do some pulls live for everyone on stream. So I made the first purchase. It was $5. That's nothing. Immediately after that, I get a call from my bank. My bank tells me that a fraudulent charge was made on my card. So I just pushed that aside. You know, maybe it was a false positive. There's no harm done. I attempt to make a $10 purchase on stream. It does not go through. My card gets declined. At that point, I'm concerned. So I proceed to spend the next 10-15 minutes. I think maybe I'm just filling out my card info wrong. Maybe I'm not putting in the address correctly. And after repeatedly failing, I figure, you know what, that's fine. Maybe it's locked. Maybe they're just declining it because they think that it's some Chinese scam. And I proceed to continue playing the game. Now, at this juncture, Mrs. Styx, she goes, well, you know what, maybe try using my card. Maybe they're just declining your card. And I think to myself, that's actually a good idea. So a little while later, she gets me her card. We try using her card. Her card gets declined. Now, at this point, I think to myself, well, evidently they have not imposed a limitation on a specific card. Rather, the account is probably locked. So I decide midstream, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna call our bank, and I'm going to find out exactly what's going wrong. Because if our card is blocked, we can't order food that night. We can't get groceries. We can't pay for anything if we absolutely need to. So I call our bank. Our bank says there were repeated attempted fraudulent charges made on your account. One was successfully processed. We put a limit on your account as to not allow for any future purchases to be made. And I tell them those were not fraudulent. Those were legitimate attempts by me to purchase premium currency in a Chinese video game online. And she laughs at me and she's like, oh, you're being serious? I'm like, yeah, it's a mobile game that you play on your phone. That's why, you know, it was processed by Apple. But I'm not gonna delve into the specifics of what I said. So she goes, okay, she approved all of the transactions. At that point, she removed the limitation, and I thought to myself, it's great. So I said, how long will it be before I can go ahead and attempt a purchase? And she goes, the limitation on the account has been removed immediately. But I figured, you know, I'll leave it 15-20 minutes maybe, and I'll allow for the limitation to be lifted just in case it's not immediate. So we continued streaming the game. The limitation did not get lifted the entire stream. So I connected my PayPal account to my phone. I processed the payments via PayPal. Everything went over fine. We ordered DoorDash that night. I have my PayPal connected to my DoorDash. So realistically, we did starve that night. And I figured, okay, you know what? Maybe it'll take like a business day to unlock the account. Now, fast forward, it has been 3 days now. It is Saturday afternoon, approaching Saturday evening, so late that I can't go to my bank because it's closed. So I go to the local Publix, which is a grocery store. I get a box of Coke, I get a few different groceries, some cereal. I go to check out. The order is $57. And I go check out, put in my card, and tells me my card's been declined. And at that point, I'm like, oh fuck, because I don't know if I have any money in my wallet. I open it up, I have $62 in my wallet, so I pay for that, and I leave. I put everything in the trunk of the car. I call up my bank, and I'm like, I sit there for 15 minutes, and then the lady, she finally answers. I give her all of my info. Now, she goes to me, Mark, I can see the issue you're having here. The issue you're having here is that you put in the wrong key. And like at this point, I'm sitting there in the car, like, what? I put in the wrong key 3 times because I had attempted, just full disclosure here, I'd attempted to put in the card to the chip reader and fill out the key code 3 different times. All 3 times got declined. The reason I called was because I thought maybe I triggered some kind of like alarm where they put another limit on it after the fraudulent charges. So anyway, so I respond with, I input the wrong code, the wrong PIN code 3 different times. And she goes, yes, sir, that is correct. On here on screen, it's telling me right now, PIN POS or some other 3-letter digit code. And what this code means is that you input the wrong PIN code. And I go, okay, I guess I may have temporarily like had a weird blank where I input the wrong PIN code 3 times, but you know, okay, I'm fine. I'll take your word for it. Can you unlock the account? She's like the account's not locked. And I look at her, I'm like, oh, are you sure? And she goes, all you did was input the wrong, and the call cut. The call completely cut. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Now, I hadn't gotten meat or anything. We go to the local Wegmans to get meat. So I hadn't actually gotten food for the weekend yet. So I pull up to the Wegmans. I go in, 30 minutes worth of grocery shopping, $140 worth of food in my cart. I go to checkout, put in the card, payment declined, put in the card. Okay, Mark, you know your PIN code this time. Let's put it in slowly. Put in my PIN code as slowly as I can. Payment declined. Payment declined. I tried 4 times. I'm like, God, this is infuriating at this point. So I call over one of the people out by the self-checkout. I'm like, hey dude, can I like leave this here for a minute and go call my bank again? Because I don't know why, but they've got another hold on my bank account and my card, and I can't pay for this. Can you just please just give me a minute to get this sorted out? So he gave me this little ticket and he said, go pay for it at customer service, no problem, when you're ready. And I'm like, thank God, okay, thank you. So I go to the customer service area, I sit down on the bench that's there, and I call my bank. After about 20 minutes on hold, the lady picks up and she goes, hey Mark, what can I do for you today? And I'm like, I give her all my info. And she goes, so what problem are you having? Because I got your account and all your information up here. And I'm like, so I'm at the local grocery store. I just called. The lady told me there was nothing wrong with my account, that I should be perfectly fine to make purchases. Evidently that is not true. I tried making a purchase at the local grocery store. My payment's being declined. The lady goes, oh, that's because your account's locked. And I'm like, what? Why the fuck is my account locked? The last lady told me it wasn't locked. So she goes, oh, yeah. The reason why is because of a number of fraudulent scam purchases that were attempted several days ago. And I'm like, but I called at the time to verify that those were real. I called earlier today to get my account unlocked. How is it locked? So then she tells me, sir, you're gonna have to physically come in to a branch, an actual store, and only then, after proving my physical identity, can they lift the limits that have been imposed on my account. Until then, it is not just my card that has been limited, mind you. I just want to put this out there. It is the entire account, which I learned moments later. So she goes, you have to come in and physically verify your identity. And I think to myself, but it's a weekend. The bank accounts are closed. The branches are closed. Okay, so I go to ask her another question. Psst, the phone cuts, the call cuts. And I think to myself, wow, that's 2 separate times. But okay, so I go up to the customer service area, and I go, hey, my bank account has a lock on it. I can't pay for the food and everything in the shopping cart. Can I pay another way? Can I pay through PayPal or anything else? And they go, oh yeah, do you have Apple Pay? And I'm like, yes, I do have Apple Pay, thank God. So they put in the little ticket, you scan it, I go to pay through Apple Pay. Only I realize, as I do, that the Apple Pay is linked to my card, and therefore I can't pay for it. So at this juncture, I'm like, I send Adrian, my Mrs. Sticks, my wife, a message, and I'm like, I need your card info because I need to add it to my Apple Pay, my Apple Wallet. So she sends me her card info. I add it to my wallet. Everything, I'm like, you know what? Nothing else can go wrong, right? I have a functional card now. Her card is also locked. The entirety of the bank account is locked. We cannot use any of our money until we go into a branch and physically confirm our identities because of a $5 purchase that was made in Tower of Fantasy. Tower of Fantasy was marked as a scam. All our Tower of Fantasy purchases have been marked as fraudulent. And we're not the only ones that have been having this issue. We mentioned it during stream, and plenty of other people have had their bank accounts locked as a direct result of purchasing premium currency in Tower of Fantasy. Now, I'm sure plenty of people have had this issue before with a surplus of different mobile games. It happens, I understand that, but this has happened repeatedly, and this happened to such an extent where our entire bank account has been completely locked, all because of one single $5 purchase in a Chinese mobile game. That is how my day is going. 1 day's sleep in 3 days, and then I met with this. This week has been absolutely terrible, and it was only made worse by this game, which admittedly is a fun game, but holy fuck, man.